Welcome back to the Burly Fishing Podcast. I'm here with Paul Glass. I'm Jeff Burlingame, and we are super pumped to talk to you about our topic today, which, as far as I know, all that I know from Paul right now is bass. Just bass, largemouth or smallmouth?
There will be facts about bass.
Facts about bass. So
That's what
you guys want to, if you want to learn more about bass, of course, we'll be doing that in the context of fishing. You want to know more about that species that you guys are fishing for. So if you want to catch more, pay attention. Before we get to that, you guys can, if you appreciate the content, subscribe and throw us a 5-star review at the end of the podcast. If you're enjoying the content, that helps us a lot with developing the show. Especially, we really appreciate some feedback, anything you guys can pass along. If you want to follow us on other places, subscribe on YouTube, Burly Fishing, and social media, Facebook or Instagram at Burly Fishing. One last quick plug. If you guys want to win $100 in monster bass tackle, I'm running a subscriber giveaway right now. So if you swing on over to any of those social media channels or the YouTube channel, and I'll put it in the show notes for this too. I will leave a link below, follow the link. And if you guys subscribe to all our channels, provide us with some reviews, watch a couple of videos. There's tons of different ways to enter. The more times you enter, the more likely you are to win the prize. So if you guys want $100 in tackle, click the link and help a brother out. At any rate, let's dive right in. Paul, what do you think?
What I think is, am I allowed to enter that?
Can you win? No, nope.
Can I? Dang.
Technically, you're within this.
I literally getting my can I win?
$100 in monster bass tackle. I mean,
sign me up.
I mean,
well, don't sign me up because I can't. All right.
We'll say, quick note on that. It does end April 30th. So if you're listening to this episode in the future, after April 30th, 2020, it's over.
But get on your horse is the.
Get after it. Yeah, this airs probably like a week into the contest. So, yeah.
Get on your horse.
Get on your horse.
So, question of the week, episode question of the week. We're back to our April Madness, March Madness play on, fishing version. So the idea again is we got a bracket going. We got ranked items. We have a number of items. You have to, in this situation, pretend like your boat weighs your max capacity in your kayak is 499.9 pounds. And I'm going to put 2 items up against each other. And you can only select one of those items to safely navigate water. We got this week, we're going to do 2 matchups, mostly because the first matchup is pretty brutal. Number two okay. Seeded item, pliers. Going up against number 16, bug spray.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a slaughter.
Oh, man. This is just like your general pliers, like line cutting and pliers, get the hook out of the mouth pliers, or we talking like some others like needle nose or.
All right, we're talking.
Split ring.
Okay, all right. I'm not gonna make them the best pliers on the entire planet Earth, but they can cut braid, they can remove hooks from everything shy of like a pinky size bluegill, and they're pretty sturdy and they have rubber handles.
Okay. Do I have a knife?
If you're an adult, yeah.
Okay. Then I will say bug spray. First.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I can get the hook out of the fish's mouth. I can handle a fish at this point. I'm not too concerned about it. But if I am just getting annihilated by skeeters, I am not going to be pumped and I'm not going to have a fun day. So I'll probably leave anyways. So I won't even need the pliers because I'll be like, I'm just getting wrecked. I'm getting the Zika.
Whoa, my world just got rocked.
But you thought that was going the other way?
I
hate getting bit by bugs.
It shows because you just upset of the week. 16 just beat a number 2. There's no way I'm leaving there's a reason I did the rankings, obviously.
That's not how the rankings work.
Pliers, pliers.
Every
single pliers over almost every other tool out there.
I
use my pliers.
I've forgotten them enough times at this point that I don't care as much.
What the heck?
I've just had to make do.
Whew, I almost wish I'd consulted you before doing the rankings. Almost.
Like
Shows
I've had to deal with
absolute insanity.
I had to deal with pike with no pliers,
Yeah, for sure.
and then plenty of
We've all
bass.
had
Bass are no problem, but it's like
issues.
the wait. I
I'm still
caught
going
this thing. What
pliers.
do I do?
I'm going pliers every time.
Fair.
Every single
Hey,
time. Bug spray
it's
is
our first. That's three so far matchups we've gone through. We only differed on one so far.
Yeah.
This
My
is
word.
why you do brackets, man. If
This
it
is
was if we just all said the same thing, then what's
This
the
is
point
a
of the
problem with
brackets?
having a co-host because now I don't have a tiebreaker. What am I supposed to do? All right. Well, I'm offering it up to the audience. Somebody please pick pliers over bug spray. It's 2 versus 16. You better be picking the 2. I want to see pliers.
I mean, if I'm frogging in the swamp, I'm gonna wear that bug spray so I can keep frogging.
I'll just put a shirt on. All right.
I mean,
Numbers.
I just have this sweet succulent blood. They always come after me. I can't avoid them.
I am too. You know what though? I am like I must be warm blooded because my wife is like she could be in a mosquito's nest and be like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm just literally getting punctured.
You seem mad.
Just like I'm like raking blood off my legs. Like
it's
as
fine. I'm
breaking these. Oh, I'm good. It's jump in the fire. Yeah. All right. So next matchup we got this one's much closer. That's why we're doing 2 because
we'll see.
All right, okay, we will.
Okay.
Coming in at number 6, we have hat. Number 6, we have hat.
Never worn one. What are those?
Versus number 8, not water bottle, empty water bottle.
Empty water bottle. Okay.
If you haven't listened to previous episodes, the empty water serves a very specific function.
Very
inside
important.
of a kayak.
Mostly for only guys, unless you're a very creative female fisherman.
Accurate.
Yeah, very accurate. Hat.
Thank you. Okay, I was getting really nervous.
At this point,
it's an obvious
end of podcast.
All right, shut up.
Turn it off. Throw it away. Sell my microphone. We're leaving.
I don't need this. Okay, yeah, I'm
going to take this abuse.
Empty water bottle beats a lot of items. It does.
It is important.
Hat is not one of them. And
hat will never be beaten.
It sounds dumb, but like out of the stuff that I like have never forgotten, hat is on the list. I've never forgotten
always
to
on
have
your
a
head.
hat. And it's like it helps keep you cool, sun out of your eyes. It's a
very important.
Right up there with sunglasses. Like you just don't leave those at home.
Here's the level of hat I'm on. Hat comes off after I've been in bed for 30 minutes, and the moment I wake up, hat on. I can't wait till I'm bald. Then it's just gonna be on all the time.
Wow, you staple it to your head. So I have.
Have I have this surgically attached?
Have you been watching Tiger King?
Dude, I binged that shit. It took me 2.5 days.
So wow, I don't have that much time.
No,
Tiger,
it was like
2.9 days. So just finished Tiger King. So who's?
Are you wrecked? Are you just like mentally wrecked right now?
I'm fine. It was really depressing ending. So the not to ruin it for listeners, I was not uplifted. So there was no twist at the end that made me feel like everything was fine. It just
how many more twists could you have? Yeah, episode 1, you're like, yeah, this guy's crazy. I get it.
I only needed one where he gets out and is totally justified. And those weren't tiger skulls. They were, ancient saber-toothed tigers that just happened to be in his backyard.
Those old things?
What? I don't need these. Why are there bullet holes in the skull? Anyways,
I want him walking out of prison footage, because eventually, well, this happens in every episode. This is not a spoiler, but like his hair going across the front of his face,
like he took a ruler and scissors. Yeah, it's wonderful.
It comes down in little strips like a barcode. It's so bad.
I was going somewhere with this. Who likes hats more than both of us is who? What's the guy's name? The business partner that ruins everyone's life and never goes to jail.
Oh, Jeff Cook.
The affliction guy. That affliction guy likes hats so much. He likes hats so much. He wears them with bandanas all the time.
Under hat.
The only time he's on the show you see him without that on is when he's in jail. That was it.
Yeah.
And it was like a one. Oh man, that was
And
brutal.
they
All
had
right.
to just like rip it off his head. Like
Oh, they
he
had
was
to.
like, nope, 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 it's mine.
Yeah. Okay, I'm imagining him like riding in the bus and like having an argument with like one of the guards, like, take the hat off. No, give me the hat. No.
And then he buys the prison with no money.
Yeah.
And then he makes it a zoo and there's just tigers next to
Oh,
freaking
God.
prisoners.
Unreal.
Anyways,
All right.
sequel. That's
Hat
season
wins.
2.
Hat wins. We're good with that. So we need no audience feedback whatsoever. But number 2, pliers
Thanks for
versus bug spray.
nothing.
Pliers versus bug spray. I'm gonna need you to step up and contribute. All right. So weekly check-in. We gotta go quick. We're burning daylight here.
Burn a daylight.
We're burning daylight. So what have you been up to this week? Because I know I worked. I did nothing. So that's what I'm contributing.
Awesome. I had way less calls than I normally do. So that was nice and refreshing for my birthday week. So I've been just getting my workouts in, and I did go fishing. I went fishing today did not go well. I had a great day on, was it Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday. So I went out Tuesday, just at Home Lake, the one right by my house that I fish pretty much 90% of the time because it's just a good lake, like so small too. But I dropped in there, water temp, still kind of cold. It's like 48 degrees. So it's not quite pre-spawn, but the gill spawn was on. Like every time I went by and like a branch rustled, you had just like 500 just bursting. I would just like look away and then I'd hear just like splashing in the background, turn around, there's just broiling on the water. It was absurd. So the gill were out. So the bass were probably decently well fed, and it's still cold. But so they weren't like really hitting much. I did hook a 4-pounder, like just a girthy son of a gun. And as I was reeling them in, I was using an older Mepps change your game hooks. Yes. This it's hanging on the wall now because it's retired. But I was like, I lost that fish. I was like, done. Threw it out of the boat. I was like, get out of here. It was just rusted hook. My bad. Yeah. So you don't get a good hook set with that, and that's what. And like with the Mepps, it's that moving bladed bait, the inline spinner. So you kind of just lean into it, but when you lean in, if it's a sharp hook, it just punches through. And this guy didn't clear him. So I was just like, he was holding it in his mouth, reeling him in, got him like halfway to the boat. He pops off, spins the other way, and I just like throw everything and cry. So then it was rough for like 2 hours. But then I did my thing. I threw the Ned for a little bit after I got frustrated, and I picked up 2 right off the bat, just off the bank. They're up shallow. So that was cool. One Old Faithful. One was less than a pound. One was like 1.5 pounds. So, I mean, whatever. It was fish. And then I went trolling with a 6-foot deep diving crankbait and picked up a pike. First pike of the year. And it was awesome. It's pretty good size too. I don't know. I didn't measure it, but it was good. Look at the picture on Instagram at BurlyFishing. You tell me how big it was. You were saying what? Sorry.
I'm not gonna say anything about your statement.
Oh yeah.
All right. I will reiterate. I'm doing nothing but working. Glad to be doing it at this point in time.
You didn't miss anything today. Today in Michigan,
Tell me more.
Was like every type of weather you could have ever had, but over the course of like 3 hours. It was just like sunny and warm. It was like, oh, it's dark now. Then it was like 21-mile-an-hour winds, just pummeling me. I went out in the kayak followed by snow.
Yeah.
And then sun, and then hail, I think, and then sun.
It's called, what is that called? Grapple?
It's just like all these weather patterns came together because a couple of days ago it was 65 degrees. Now it's 40. So we just have this really terrible cooling trend, but the wind just kicked up crazy day. I took the kayak out for like 30 minutes. I paddled up the lake as hard as I could right into the wind because it's like going west right across the lake lengthwise. And then I tried to power pole and it like actually almost kicked up the power pole. So I was in that dangerous situation. It does have an emergency like pull string that you can do to flip it up if you get stuck, but I got the pole out of the water, luckily. But yeah, then I just drifted at about 500 knots right into the friggin' ramp and just like was screaming the whole way. I got 2 casts in. I was like, screw it. And I just like threw a lipless. And I was like, we're just going to drag this to the shore. And I just rode in. It was the craziest situation I think I've been in on my kayak. So it was awful. And I left immediately.
So you asked if it was hail.
Tell me what
Point
it
of
was.
clarification. It is, I was right. Grapple.
Grapple.
Uh,
Stands for
precipitation that forms when supercool water droplets are collecting and freeze on falling snowflakes, forming 2 to 5 millimeter balls of rime. There you go.
Huh. Neat.
It's a German word for sleet. We
The
stole
more
it.
you know.
Grapple. I knew it wasn't.
Go
I
to
knew it wasn't
sleep.
hail. You're welcome.
Anyways, so crazy weather today, and Paul's been cooped up and he's sad. But
Yeah.
you caught fish this weekend, so whatever, guy. I only did Tuesday so I could feel better about this weekend. And it
you
worked.
did the revenge catch for sure.
It is. What did I tell
All
you?
right.
Fish are screwed.
All right. Show meat. We prefaced and we've gotten to the point. We're talking all things bass. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk us through a wonderful cascading fountain of facts. Jeff knows none of these. He's not heard any of these, has no idea what I'm going to talk about.
I don't know anything. What's a bass?
So I'm gonna tee these up as questions, and it's not meant to make you look stupid, but I can't help it if you do. So,
great.
I'm not gonna say this is a bear trap of an episode. I'll let you do it to me later. All right.
Can't wait.
So do we know how many types of bass there are?
Do I know? No.
Yeah.
Not a clue. Many.
Take a guess. Just total guess number.
Just all types of bass, salt, freshwater, doesn't matter.
I'm going to specifically say the black bass family, which I will let you know right now does not include striped or white bass.
Okay. So, I don't know, 10? A dozen?
Pretty close. Oh, we should have stuck with 10. Pretty close.
Pretty close.
There's like 8 or 9 recognized by science. The Guadalupe, the spotted, Florida, Alabama, red eye, which is not a rock bass. Not a rock bass. Red eye, shoal, smallmouth, and Suwannee, which I'm pretty sure I'm saying wrong. So, but whatever. It's hooked on phonics. But dude, that's kind of a lot of bass. And I looked up them all, and I'm pretty sure that even being from the Midwest, I've caught at least 4 of those.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Just looking at like the different, and I cannot tell you like, but there are distinct differences. Like if you looked at all the pictures in a row, you'd be like, down from like the color to the ones that have more or less stripes, the awkwardly sized head, and like the weird bassy shape. And like some of that I know is like, oh, are you a big fat bass today or not? But honestly, almost a lot of times when you see the genealogy of a fish, you're like, they're all the same. Yeah. Pretty obvious difference. Maybe it's because I've seen a lot of bass, but like pretty obvious differences.
Oh, I've seen a lot of bass.
Saw some bass.
Bass.
Here's another one. How many states do you think the bass is the official state fish for?
What?
Yeah.
The official state fish.
Guess how? I'm telling you there's more than one.
I guess I believe it. I'm going to say 6.
Fucking close.
Yeah.
5. Now try and guess where they are. Okay. I've already said 2 of them in this episode.
Alabama.
Yeah.
What did you say? Tennessee?
That's one, but that's not one that I said.
Okay. Oklahoma.
No,
they have like a paddle.
Terrible guess. Terrible guess. Very good guess. Accurate. Texas is not. Florida. Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
But right now you have Florida and Tennessee. You got 3 more.
3 more?
Yeah. You know it's not Michigan. There's only like 44 more for you.
Great.
I'll give you one more guess if you can guess another one.
Louisiana.
Good guess. You're like very close. geographically: Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, Tennessee.
Makes sense.
Crazy though.
Our southern boys.
Yeah, well,
Southern
they're holding them down.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm always so like
Oh, go ahead.
just
I know what you're
watching
gonna say.
Southern.
I know what you're gonna say.
Wow, there's another 10-pounder. Stop it. Like pre-spawns in January. I'm just sitting in my like.
That's what I'm jealous. That's the only. That's the only thing I'm
ice.
remotely. That's the only thing I'm remotely jealous of.
I'm just you're getting pummeled on Higgins with like 50-mile-an-hour winds, throwing icicles, just blades of ice in your eyeballs. Yeah, that's where we're at. As you're just pre-spawning, like, oh, 60
I have to wear a hoodie in 66.
A hoodie and shorts.
Get out of here. Yeah, it's real tough.
No, we love
I
you
wear
guys.
socks.
We love
Socks with my. I wear socks with my Crocs.
Just know the Northerners are so sad. Like most of the time, watching you guys just pick off the big and
straight depression. All right. So now we're going to move on to this is one I thought was really interesting. Moving on to age. What do you think the average age of a bass is? I'll say in the northern waters, northern half of the country, U.S.
How long they live, or
average age, just average life on a
amongst like all the fish out there.
Amongst all fish, not the ones that you catch and kill.
Average age.
Yeah.
3 years. Am I getting wrecked? Am I way off? Am I close?
Way off. No.
Way off. How old?
11 to 14.
Years. Wow.
Yeah. Guess what it is in the South?
Is it lower?
I'm not going to tell you. That's why I said guess.
Am I getting warmer? 7, 6, 5.
Keep going.
Down?
No, 10 to 12.
10 to 12.
So slightly lower in the South, which is kind of surprising.
Okay.
Guess what the oldest bass ever recorded was?
30 years.
23.
23.
That is stunning.
That's crazy.
That was one of the biggest surprises when I was
just probably like has one eye, just like this giant jagged scar down its side. It's smoking a cigar. It's got the eye patch over the other eye. It's just a blind bass.
It probably has like a steel appendage of one of the fins. Is like
like that movie, the dolphin movie.
Yeah.
Dolphin tail, something. Prosthetic tail for a dolphin. Maybe we could do that for a bass.
While I was doing the research, I was like, how in the F do you know how old a fish is?
How do you find out?
How do you tell me, wow, the average age is 12. This one's 13. No, that one's 12 and a half. How do you...
that one right there?
Yeah.
Dude, the rings of a tree.
It's actually pretty close. So there are certain very hard bones in a bass specifically. I don't know how they do it for other fish. We'll find out when we do the other fish episodes. But there's certain hard bones in a bass where they check the diameter of that bone, and based on how long it's been alive is like the thickness of that bone. Very close.
I don't, dude. Give me some guesses today.
They can do kind
of close.
They can do scales too. They can tell by the scales. Because bass scales, what is it? They don't grow more scales. The scales just grow in size. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. This one I thought this is super interesting. Eyesight. In which direction do you think bass can see very well and not see well at all?
I'm going to say they can see well more, perpendicularly? Like
to the side?
Laterally to themselves?
Laterally? Nicely done.
They can't see forward as well?
Good guess. You're outthinking yourself.
All right.
They see in all directions very well, with the exception of straight back and straight down.
Interesting.
Good tip though, because think about it. Like this is like when you're in a river, you know that most fish want to see things coming at their face.
Right.
So like you cast upstream and you swing down, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a lake, you can use this piece of information, because if you know they don't see well underneath them, you should start at the top of the water column and work your way down, not down and work your way up.
Pro tip.
That's legit, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. Right? That's a good, we haven't hit that tip on anything. I don't know. That would probably come up in something where we start talking about like the water column and, colors to throw and stuff like that,
Sure.
maybe with just conditions. But,
It'll come
that's
up.
great. That's 100% how you should approach every day, top down. Up north right now, like if it was warmer, so like down south, I'd be hitting top water, especially maybe in the morning, in the afternoon, like late afternoon. But up north, we can't do that. So we start like a couple feet below right now and kind of work our way down the column. So you might have like chatterbait, spinnerbait, lighter ones up top, or like those low running square bills or something. But and then just slowly get to deeper and deeper baits. So don't throw that jig unless they're up shallow and you're sight fishing. I mean, if you see them on a bed, like pop it right in front of their face.
What if you don't know how deep the water is because you're not using electronics and you're not marking fish at 10.3 feet?
And you didn't follow our instructions from the last episode, which was look up a depth chart.
But that's a good tip, right?
That.
Like you start throwing lures.
Yeah, just work your way down until you can
high and work your way down.
Because you'll feel the bottom contact when you get there, or you'll feel the cover.
But they're gonna see it. I just think I thought that was a good tip. So
that's
learn about the species.
Makes sense.
How far do you think a bass can see in perfect conditions?
Like super
like clear water, like no silts,
current.
like just how far do you think a bass can see?
Like 5 yards.
Was it 15 feet? No, try 50.
50 feet?
50.
Ultra clear. Wow.
Yeah, that still seems far.
Insane.
That seems far. All right, 50 feet.
Imagine them coming 50 feet, like clear water. Maybe you're throwing like a jerk bait or something, or just some, whatever, just something with like reaction. They sight that in from like 50 feet and just come up to it. I've heard multiple times that people or like bass would go the distance for a jerk bait, for example. So that'd be like crazy to see in clear water. Like you could see it.
But even like 25 feet.
Yeah, that's insane.
That seems
that's a long distance.
All right. Here's another tidbit. I'm not going to make you guess, but bass can see almost the same color as humans. And here is something that I think is weird. Their eyesight gets better with age since their eyes continue to grow throughout their lifetime.
Wow.
That seems nuts to me.
Their eyes grow throughout their lifetime.
Like they continue to develop throughout their entire life.
That's crazy.
All right. Now, this is probably what everyone wants to talk about. Size. Heaviest bass ever caught.
23 pounds.
Dude, very good guess. Over, but very, very good guess.
Is it like 21?
It's first of all, it's a tie.
Really?
It's a tie.
Dang.
So 22.4 pounds, largest recorded certified catch.
Wow.
Dude out in Georgia in 1932. And I think this is all from memory. It was a farmer who decided to take the day off because of like weather. He was going to dry out his crops or something like that.
Yeah.
And went fishing instead.
Yes. That's a lesson right there. Don't go to work.
Just yeah, for fish. Sure. If you want to catch a, world record fish forever.
Yeah. 100%.
But they also, there are some articles where because that guy caught that fish and it's that big and it was that long ago, that is like part of what like drove an industry, because like people were like, there's a 22.5-pound bass rolling around out there. And kind of like help jumpstart the industry of like what is now bass fishing, which you're wearing monster bass, right? I mean, it's the reason that exists is partially because of stuff like that. No, okay, guy.
Well, okay.
I mentioned it was a tie.
Yeah.
Dude in Japan in 2009 tied that.
Wow.
And I think that guy has like he's tied a couple of bass records.
That's crazy.
Pretty bonkers.
Big fish.
So
big
here's one that I thought was 10 times more interesting. The averages.
The average weight.
Average size of bass based on like total distribution, and also based on, this is the other thing, based on catch rate. So like average catch rate, reported catch rate,
This is like worldwide.
United States.
Okay. Still, shoot, 3.
So you know how when you're in a boat and you tell people about what you caught, you tell people about the 2 biggest fish, maybe the smallest if you're making fun of yourself, and nothing about the 6 that you caught that were
Yeah.
like
So you're
that you
saying it's skewed,
forgot about.
like all fishing stories. It's skewed.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So
Okay. So I guess higher.
average.
4.5.
No,
Way under or way over?
you're way over.
Okay,
So
I said 3
this
first.
is
So what is it?
1 to 2 pounds, 12
Okay.
to 14 inches.
Yeah, that's small. Tiny.
How many times do you
Itty
catch
bitty.
that fish though?
Hundreds of
All the
times.
time. You catch
Yeah,
that fish all the time.
I've done that 50 times in a day. Like on the puddle. Actually, on my
Yeah,
leg, I've done that too. But yeah,
that's the majority. 1 to 2 pounds, 12 to
makes
14
sense.
inches. So don't feel that bad when you reel one of those in. How about this?
It's the
This is
condom.
here's one for you. A bass needs to eat 10 pounds of forage to gain 1 pound of body weight.
Wow. Okay. So I'm thinking of that 22 now. Like this
What
dude,
is that?
this dude, what
He's
is
just eating ducks.
Oh,
Like,
dude. I gotta ask you if this is a thing, actually. Because when I was getting vortexed on my lake today, when I was just getting wrecked and pummeled with wind, there were 2 dudes like trying to net a white duck on the lake, like chasing it, like comedically, like around the bank of the lake. They were like crouched and they were just sneaking, and they had like a big like dog catching net, just like a giant musky net basically. And like one kid went so far as to like run into the water in jeans and tennis shoes and dive after this duck with his net like over his head. I was like, this is Looney Tunes. I've seen this when I was a child watching Looney Tunes cartoons. What the hell is going on?
there's a word for it. It's called poaching
Like on a
because
public
they're
lake in
not in
front of
season.
an
That is
apartment
not
complex.
allowed. Yeah, you're not. That's not a method of take that
I
I'm
did
aware of.
not assume this. I was like, what the frick are these guys doing?
Dude, are you sure it was a duck? Maybe it
Yes.
was like a
Okay. White
wow.
bird
Well, next
looks like a
time,
duck, orange bill. Tell me what that is.
what?
Yeah, I was like, I don't
Orange.
understand. First of all, that type of duck is never on my lake. So I was like, is this like their pet? Like a farm animal? Maybe
Maybe.
ran away. See, that was what I was thinking, not like call the game warden. These suckers are in
Free.
trouble. I was like, I
I
don't
would do that.
know.
Actually,
I
I'd
need,
probably just yell at him. I'd be like, "Go away."
yeah, well, I mean, I could yell as much as I want with that wind. Nobody's going to hear me 3 feet away from them. What's that?
Weird.
Can you not catch that duck?
Weird.
Like, what are you doing? Yeah, it was strange. Like the
That's
kid
freaking
in
weird.
full clothes diving into the water. It's 41 degrees and like a hurricane's going on. And then they continued to stalk this thing. I was like, I need to leave. So I just ran out of there.
This is bonkers. All right. Related to the size, we talked about them needing to eat 10 pounds of forage. Moving on to forage. Uh, so this is probably some things that probably most people know, but not everybody knows. Name some things that bass eat.
Just microscopic organisms on the bottom of the lake, lots of bugs and insects, anything that falls out of a tree, you know, the forage, which I know nothing about. That's something I do need to learn more about.
Well, even
But sure.
including fish,
Yeah,
crayfish,
any other fish. Yeah,
mice, frogs,
spiders,
birds,
birds.
tiny birds.
That's why, dude, Danny the duck, the little hollow body duck, got that. I have a
Danny the
phantom
duck.
spider.
Yes.
I'm going to catch one on a hollow body spider. That'll be interesting. I do have a mouse.
Bass are
And then
all.
they make like those
are
hollow
all.
body ones, or they make like a jointed body one too. But yeah, just look at the crazy lure section and like, I guess that's the everything they eat.
Snakes.
Yes. Seen a snake lure, lizard
and
lure.
we should be clear. Like, this is a unique thing. Like, other fish do not eat like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is like a uniquely bass thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you and any listener right now, like you've probably seen a video of somebody pulling just like crazy stuff out of a bass's gullet to save said fish. You know, especially like bluegill just stuffed in there, any sort of bait fish. Yeah, I mean, they'll eat anything, man.
All right. We talked weight. We talked averages. We talked girth. We need to talk about how a bass would gain that said girth. I want to talk forage. We said a bass needs to eat 10 pounds of forage to gain 1 pound of body fat. We're going to take turns. I'm going to name something a bass eats. You're going to name something a bass eats. We're going to go until we're done.
Yes. So forever.
I've got 3 days. Let's do this.
Okay, cool.
I'll go first.
Yep.
Minnows.
That's literally what I was going to say first.
That's why I said it.
Ooh.
Other bass. That's a fact.
Facts. Shad.
Small invertebrates.
So
I covered a lot of ground.
Big old lumps. Okay, like any bait fish. All right, cool. Can we move away from fish and invertebrates? Next.
Reptiles.
What? Why are we doing groups? All right, look. Name a few reptiles that you would see a bass eat.
Gardener snake.
Yeah. Well, frogs are amphibians, so I'll hit those next maybe. Kind of reptile amphibian. I don't know.
Reptile-ish.
It's reptilian. Lizards though.
Oh yeah, lizards.
Especially in Florida.
Salamanders.
Those
Tadpoles. Mice. We're not taking turns. I'm just naming things.
And creatures. Bats.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You seen the Savage Gear 3D bat?
No, but I've seen an actual bat. How about
where's that?
crayfish, crawfish, depending on where you're from.
Yeah, 100%. That's why you got all those craw patterns. That's why we got creature plastics. I mean, yeah.
Got any more?
Gosh, we covered like
tiny ducks.
Tiny ducks. I can't. All right, yeah. I keep forgetting about Danny the duck, the hollow body duck. That's like my favorite thing. I'll never catch a fish on, but maybe
you will. Turtles, tiny turtles.
That makes me kind of sad. It doesn't. That would be awesome to see.
That'd be freaking sweet to see.
Yeah, spiders.
Yes,
Crickets,
mice,
caterpillars,
dragonflies,
just want to
rats.
Oh man, cleaning up.
I wonder if they would eat like. I wonder if they would eat like a
tires, old boots. They would eat anything. Anyways, they eat a lot of stuff. We got it.
And here's your fun fact about forage. Largemouth average forage length, 20 to 45% of their body length.
What?
20 to 45%.
I mean, that's
up to
why
50.
That's like, think of how many times you've caught a fish smaller than the lure you threw at it. Many times, right? So that actually makes sense.
I know.
That's a huge percentage. Although, like, I've seen literally like a bluegill bite a crankbait that's the same size as it, and I'm like, what are you doing, bro?
Same family.
Yeah.
Related fish family.
Here's
another one.
Facts abound.
How does a bass use its large mouth to eat?
It engulfs. It just opens up, sucks them in.
Is that how that works?
Just
Actually, that is a pretty close definition. But what they do is when they open their mouth, they open it so fast, they're actually
like pull
creating a vacuum.
A vortex.
Oh, that's literally what's happening. They're creating a vacuum, and that is actually bringing water and said target forage into their mouth.
Yeah, like a vacuum sucks.
Yeah, it's like
So
the
it
exact
sucks
opposite
it
of what
in.
like I think most people think. Most people think it's like open your gigantor mouth and then
Dive
bite
at it.
down.
Yeah.
Nah, brah. Get within like a half an inch and
Yeah. See,
hoping
zip
that's what it
like
sounds like underwater. We need to get that on. We need to get that.
record it. I don't
recorded.
know if my new microphones are waterproof or not. I'll check.
Mission in life.
GoPro's waterproof. I mean, we just dunked the GoPro.
Freaking duh. All right, so here we go. We're going to get into what I think is probably a mystery for a lot of people, maybe a little bit nerdy, so we can semi-speed through this, but I think this is important. Spawning time frames.
Just depends on where we're at.
It does depend on where you're at, but there's a reason that it depends on where you're at. The reason it depends on where you're at is because almost everything is guided by or governed by water temperature. So no matter where you are in the continental U.S., as long as you're fishing for the black bass family of bass that we talked about, you have what's called, Jeff's mentioned it once already, pre-spawn, which is roughly early spring, and that's when water temps are getting into roughly, give or take,
mid-50s,
45.
Okay,
45-ish is
that's
pre-spawn.
actually where we're at right now.
We're getting there. So that is when you'll see them starting to come from the depths into shallower water, and they'll be in the shallows more often than they would have been in like winter or like fall.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're getting ready to start spawning. So their behavior is changing. They're looking into like what are the traditional spawning areas, which are like harder bottoms, sandy, rocky bottom, and they're looking for nesting areas. Then you have the spawn, which is really like kind of a dead center spring, and the water temps in that 55 to 65 degrees. And if you've never like measured water temperature and put your hand into like what is truly 55, 60 degrees, that's cold water.
Yeah.
That is not like, oh, to go in for a dot. Like, I'm not
it's not a good swimming hole.
No, man, you're not going in that water. And it's, I think like that is another thing that I think like most people who like don't live on a lake or don't fish or like are maybe new to fishing would not be aware of like 65-degree water is cold. So this is your traditional spawning temperature. Again, give or take a little bit. Shallower, warmer, flat water. They're looking for something that's probably going to be protected mostly from rough water. And then what happens is the males are starting to select nesting spots and actually build nests. And then what happens is the females come through and they spawn that nest. But they're not very picky, the females. They're not. They just go into one, they drop some of their eggs, then they go down to the next one and they drop some of their eggs. And
you want some of these?
One and they drop some of their eggs. And they
you get some eggs. Yeah. You get some eggs, and you get some eggs.
And here's where it gets weird. So the males, the males are the ones guarding the nests. So the males actually tend the nest, and they're the ones who are. Here's one for you. What is a baby bass called? After it hatches.
Dinks.
It's called a fry. It's called a fry. So gotcha. They're protecting those fries. So the duration of that time frame, right? So that when that water is hitting that 55 to 65 degrees, and you're starting to see the males stick around the nests or be on the beds, what you're seeing is the eggs hatch in roughly 2 to 4 days, and then those little fry are actually eating all the leftovers of what they were hatched out of. And it takes roughly 2 weeks ish, where the males are staying there guarding those fry before those baby bass, those fry, are kind of on their own. And then you hit post-spawn. And that's when you're getting into summer, and that's when the water's hitting the 70s and plus and 80s, right? So a little bit tougher fishing for a couple week period, because all those bass need to actually recover from that whole spawning period where they're sticking to a small range. It's harder to get forage because they're not going out and just like roaming around looking for food. They're stuck to one area, and they're burning a lot of calories trying to defend those fish. So you get like a couple of weeks where it's tough, and then you're into summer, and then you're just into fishing, right? Kind of traditional summer fishing. And then everything is still got dependent on water temperature. When the water temperature is way too hot, they're looking for those shaded areas. They're looking for the cooler part of the water, so they're going to be down deep. But then the reason that magic hour is so important is because you're hitting that perfect water temp where you're going to see the most active bass, right? And they could be the distribution of fish over the period of nighttime and the period of early morning and late in the day is just like prime time for them to be out getting squirrely. So that's your spawn, which I think is really important. Again, something that everyone that's kind of like hears those terms, but like when you really understand like the duration of that period, early spring through right about the beginning of summer, I think that's good knowledge to have.
Yeah. And then, again, it varies where you're at. Like obviously if you're down south, your water temps are going to be a lot higher, a lot sooner than ours will.
Correct.
Longer.
Those periods are going to be longer for sure.
Sometimes you even have in circumstances like that, like 2 spawning seasons.
You should have multiples. Absolutely.
So it's a different kind of fishing than we're used to, but which is why, towards the beginning of the show, we're talking about how jealous we are about how active and how big those bass are early in the years. We're just sitting here picking our noses, waiting for the snow to melt.
And so are the fish because they're not eating.
The fish are like, well, we can't do anything either. But yeah, very interesting, very important, I think, for sure, to kind of know what you're looking for. Last time we talked a bit about like conditions. Probably a next time or another time we should really get into like water clarity and different types of bottoms and like structure and things like that, I'm sure. But just knowing the spawning seasons is huge. Like, what are those fish doing? Where should they be located? How are they behaving? How likely are they to be enticed by the lures you're throwing at them? Or are you just wasting your time? It's like, it depends.
Here's a tip. And this is why knowing this is important. Early spring, if a bass is defending a nest, he's probably going to ignore a lot of what you throw that's supposed to just be food.
Yep.
Because their primary job is not necessarily to eat all the time, even though they like to do that. Their primary job is to protect that nest. So what you can really do is piss it off. So when you see those bass on nests and it's like you've got that water temp, it's like right at that perfect time when they're staying close and they're in protect mode. They're not necessarily in just like, I'd like to eat mode. That's when you throw something that's going to stay in a strike zone for a long time. And the strike zone is within a foot of that nest. If you plop something right on there that's aggressive right on that nest, not only as a fish you might even get that bass just bumping it just to get it out of there.
Yeah.
You got to be patient. Sometimes they take a little bite and then they're almost not trying to eat it. They're just trying to get it away from the nest. So sometimes your set is going to be a lot faster or a heck of a lot slower. And you got to stay in that strike zone long enough for that fish to take that bait. I'll never forget. I had a friend who just started fishing and he's like, I could see this fish. I threw everything I had at it, could not catch it. I was like, what you should have done is you should have taken a very awkwardly hooked appendagey something and you should have had no weight on it and you should have thrown it right at it and just let it drop right on it. Or a very small crank that can be worked extremely slow and you work it right down the middle because all you're trying to do is piss that fish off enough or make something feel like a threat, and that's how you're going to get that reaction strike.
Those like the small jerk baits, like the X-Wrap, the suspending ones,
floaters,
X-Wrap, the Rip Stop, that one's pretty sweet. But yeah, like a little suspending floating bait where you can like twitch it, move it around, piss them off with the movement, and then just pause it forever. Forever. That's the weightless plastics. If you guys have ever thrown weightless plastics, they take forever. And it sucks if you have like any current or wind or whatever, you're not going to do
Or
that.
no patience.
Or me, no patience. Like I never throw weightless. More weight the better. Not true. So again, but last time I committed to like, quit committing these fishing sins. So I'm gonna try some new stuff this year for sure. We'll throw weightless. We'll do that.
I got 2 more for you.
Hit me.
Do fish sleep?
At all?
Period.
I'm gonna say
Question
yes.
mark? Question mark.
Question mark? Yes.
How do they sleep?
I would assume still swimming, like floating off the bottom.
Do they sleep at night?
I don't know.
Do they sleep during the day?
There's a night bite sometimes. They sleep when they want to sleep, man. They're bachelors. They're kind of like, I want to live this nightlife, and I'll go to sleep at 6 a.m. and I'll wake up at 3 when the bite's back on. I don't know.
So fish, pretty close actually. So fish in general, they, because you're in a confined area, typically, like a lake or a river, fish are aware of the fact that every fish, for the most part, is food for another fish.
Mhm.
And so if you're just like on the bottom sleeping, you could get just hammered by any fish.
Yeah.
So what they do is they will sleep in little snatches, 2 to 15 minutes at a time.
Whoa.
In different places.
Power naps, dude.
Yes.
All right.
And they do not have eyelids, so I do not know how they deal with that shit.
They sleep with their eyes open.
They can't close their eyes.
Not
Yeah,
weird at
unbelievable. I had no idea how they do that. But
That's
yes,
crazy.
they sleep in little snatches. So if you're wondering, is fishing at nighttime a good idea? It's a freaking awesome idea because nighttime fishing is sometimes the most productive fishing, especially depending on, again, water and air temperature.
Yeah.
Here's another one. You ever catch a bass and look underneath its jaw at the little dots that are underneath its jaw? Do you know what those are?
I think we talked about the pitting with pikes before. Is it the same thing? It's just like a sensory type thing. Yeah.
Bingo. So they have what's called a lateral line system. And that's how they can, it's essentially a sixth sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually feel the vibrations and pressure changes of other fish and a very all-time successful style lure. And that's actually how they're locating things when they can't see them, right? And that's how when they go to take that, which is not necessarily a bite, it's more of a slurp. That's how they know exactly where to go. And that's also how they can judge like the size, distance, and speed of something else without being able to see it entirely in its entirety. Nice. So that's why something like not an inline, but a regular spinner, right? That's got a blade or 2 blades. If you're a hardcore musky pike dude, you know that carrying different shapes of spinners on your lure is like one of the more critical things, way more important, I think, than color, because fish like pike and muskie are they're super sensitive. They have their entire faces are covered in lateral lines. And yeah, bass have the same sense, and that's how they're picking up on those different things. So those different blades, Colorado blade, leaf blade, they have the pitted ones. There's all different kinds of shapes and combinations. In addition to different colors and different like finishes, the shape of the blade, the reason that's important is because it's creating a different vibration. Yeah. And if it's creating a different vibration, it might be the one that fish wants to see. And so, yeah, those little dots are the beginnings of those lateral lines.
That's dope.
That fish has not been caught in a perfectly symmetrical way 12 times.
Facts.
Yeah. So those are my fish facts. I think I do want to give a shout out to some of the sources. So this was not just Wikipedia. Wiredtofish.com, Outdoor Life, In Fisherman, Bass Resource were some of the more main ones. And yeah, if anyone's interested in reading some of the articles where we pulled some of these, we've got the links. So if you want to go check out the litany of bass facts that are out there, those are some of the cooler resources that I kind of dove into to do the research.
I love it. I learned a lot. It's really interesting. And I think, it's somewhat fun to the facts, but also necessary You know, I mean, you're hunting, you're stalking your prey. You kind of need to understand as much as you can about it, so you know how it acts, how it behaves, and what it's doing at what times of day and at what temperatures and what season
And why.
like, and why. Like, that's huge, because that's going to help you catch them. That's really what it is. This is like the basis. This is what you need to learn to move forward, and then there's plenty more to talk about. I mean, like I said, we covered water clarity for an episode if anybody wants to fall asleep, or we could cover some other stuff. But yeah, we can get into that on another episode.
Yeah, there's a million factors. I think it's really cool to learn some of that stuff, like knowing that a bass is going to eat up to 50% of its length. Like, do I feel nearly as bad about grabbing like a freaking 8-inch worm? Because like if you didn't know that a bass is going to do that, right? If you're just walking down the aisle the first time, why in the hell would you grab a creature bait? That does not look like a useful. That does not seem like a good purchase. Why would you grab an extra wide gap that's like 2 inches long? That seems dumb. It just seems like stupid. But that is like the perfect hook size, right? Because that fish is going to be like eating something that's 4 inches longer than that hook is. No problem. So yeah, everything from lure selection, like why are there top water baits that are 8 inches long? You want to catch a 20-inch bass, that's like a snack.
Yeah.
And the
big
adage of
baits too.
Yeah, and the adage of bigger bait, bigger fish is an absolute fact. Now, will a tiny lure catch a gigantor fish? Happens all the time. But there is some truth to that, right? There is some truth to, like, if you want to not catch dink fish and you only want to target the big boys, that's going to be part of it, especially if it's something where that fish has to eat, we talked about it, 10 pounds of forage to gain 1 pound of weight. So that fish wants to be efficient, and it has to make decisions about, like, yeah, I could chase all these little tiny ass minnows all day and expend all of my calories trying to eat 10 pounds of small minnows, or I can wait for Danny the duck to troll by and I could just go murder that, right? And that's my 2 days worth of food. So it's the same thing with trout fishing, right? Trout make those decisions all the time. They're efficiency decisions. I'm going to sit in the still water, so I'm not wasting my time. I'm going to sit in calm water, but I got to sit in a place that's going to let me ambush. So they'll sit at the bottom and they'll wait for something that the size matters, right? It's going to wait for something that says, dude, that spawn sack floating by is a crap ton of calories. Sounds good.
Yep.
Right? They're going to make those decisions just like a bass will. So yeah, bigger bait can absolutely net bigger fish. But yeah, that's how you can use some of this information to say, like, no, maybe it's not so big of a deal for me to throw this mondo worm, which I'm never going to throw in my life. But like, understanding the whys and the hows and like, the anatomy and the reasoning can definitely help you make better decisions when you're on the water. So that's it. Those are the best facts.
Awesome. And, based on last episode as well, this is like knowing more of that, having more of that knowledge and being able to fish more efficiently, fish smart, don't work as hard if you don't want to. You're going to have more success. You're going to have better time on the water, which is the whole topic last time. So I think this is huge. I mean, I'm sure there's tons more facts, obviously, and then there's a lot more knowledge to be had in the fishing world. So I think you named some good resources. We'll link the articles in the show notes so you guys can check those out and obviously get tons of more digestible, good information from them. But yeah, any other facts for today? Or you want to close this out?
Oh, the sleeping one was my last fact. So thanks for showing me that I'm tapped out.
And that's all. Cool. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the episode, consider subscribing and giving us a 5-star review. Throw a comment in there if you will. It helps us continue to improve this show. And we're running a giveaway over on the YouTube channel, BurlyFishing. It's for $100 in monster bass tackles. So go check out the video. Click the link there. We'll have it in all of our other social media. I'll put it in the show notes here too, but click that link and follow the instructions to perchance win $100 in tackle, which isn't bad, right? I mean, anybody
sounds
could probably
awesome.
go for
Thanks
that.
Again. I can't do it. Rub it in.
I'll get you some tackle. Don't worry, guy.
There we go.
So yeah, if you guys want to find us elsewhere at BurlyFishing on Instagram and Facebook, email us any questions, any ideas about the show, things we could
Questions about bass.
Questions about bass. You want to learn more? Email us at info@burlyfishing.com. And yeah, I think that's any other plugs. Did we plug all the plugs?
Au revoir.
Shameless plugs.
Take me out.
All right. Hey, enjoy yourselves. Be safe out there. We'll talk to you guys next week. Okay, bye.